Peace, peace. What's good, family? This is your boy Solar Mind of Solar Vision Debate League. I am here with Claim Your Inheritance and Young Israel. So when you come in the building, hit the like button. Hit the like button when you come in the building. They're gonna be getting it in tonight, and this should be something that I would like to see. It should be very interesting. The topic for tonight's debate is Jesus his own father? So we're gonna find out if Jesus is his own father. This should be something that I guess you religious guys or the people who follow the Bible. It's something that should be very interesting because I already kind of know some of the verses that may be brought up. Me, judging the debate for all season. So I'm just looking forward to the argument and how it's going to be constructed tonight for each debater. So we got Young Israel in the building, along with Claim Your Inheritance. We got my man School of Understanding also in the building. He's going to be judging tonight's debate, and it's a two-judge format, obviously. So I'm going to be worth 20 points. School of Understanding is going to be worth 10 points. We're going with a customized format tonight. That will be the 5-minute opening, 20-minute premise, 10-minute rebuttal, 15-minute rapid fire, and a 5-minute closing. So with that said, we're going to jump right into this thing. Happy New Year's to the family. For those who celebrate the New Year's, I know some of you guys don't. But for those who do, Happy New Year's. Let's take a quick look at the standings as of today. It didn't really change from yesterday, if I showed it yesterday. But as you can see here, dealing with Claim Your Inheritance. Where is Claim Your Inheritance on the standings? Okay. He's right now ranked number 15. So he is eligible for the playoffs. And if the playoffs started today, he will be debating Rob Rack, actually. He's ranked number 15. So this win would kind of put him in a nice position. Maybe over all the 4 and 4s. That'll be around there where you see Yaharab Ben Nazareth is. So that would put him in a good position. So a win tonight would definitely almost guarantee him a spot in the postseason. This is my man's first debate. Young Israel. This is Young Israel's first debate. So shout out to Young Israel. He's a new member of the debate league, and he's about to get his introduction into how we do things here on Solar Vision Debate League. So with that being said, like I said, it's going to be a customized format tonight. That's going to be a 20-minute premise. That's the only difference from that's what's being added to the whole situation. So we're going to get started on this whole deal. What's going on? School of Understanding.
Shalom, shalom. Peace to all. Peace to the debaters. And let's get it popping.
All right. What's going on, Young Israel?
Hey, what's going on? How's everybody doing? Shalom, shalom.
Claim Your Inheritance. What's good with you?
Shalom. Let's have Israel populating and Esau depopulating.
All right. So Young Israel is set to go first. So we're going to get right into this thing. We're going to set the timer for 5 minutes. And whenever you're ready, brother, you can begin.
All right. So first and foremost, I'd like to give all praises to the Most High. And shalom, shalom to everyone again. And so before we ask ourselves, is Yeshua, who they call Jesus Christ, his own father, we should ask ourselves this question. Based upon my fellow opponent, which I have it on record, by the way, says that Yeshua is Yahweh, but Yahweh is a created angel who has a father. So with that being said, it poses my first question to, do angels worship other angels? Even more the better, do we worship angels? Okay, and with that, I'm going to go to Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 6. Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 6, and it reads, Thou, even thou art Yahweh alone. Thou hast made the heavens and the heaven of heavens with all their host. So I guess an angel, it seems to me, created the heaven and earth. It says the earth and all that are therein, the seas and all that is therein, and thou preservest them all, and all the hosts, which are the angels of heaven, worship thee. So let's go with the fact that Yeshua would be a created angel. Now you have all angels worshiping an angel, which is impossible. With that, I will go to Revelation chapter 7, verse 11. Revelation chapter 7, verse 11 reads as follows. It says, And the angels stood round about the throne. And it says, and all the angels stood round about the throne and about the elders, and the four beasts fell before the throne on their faces and worshiped God. So right here it says all the angels worship God. So if if Yahweh is a created angel, how are all the angels worshiping Yahweh? And how in the world are all the angels worshiping God? But yet my fellow opponent says that Yahweh is an angel. So with that, I also have this, Genesis chapter 17, because we have to deal with how many almighties there are. Genesis chapter 17, verse 1. It says, And when Abraham was 90 years old, Yahweh appeared to Abraham and said unto him, I am the Almighty God. Walk before me and be thou perfect. Okay, so we see Abraham saying, I'm the Most High revealing himself to Abraham, and Abraham saying he's the Most High Almighty, God Almighty. So with that, let's go to Revelation chapter 1, verse 8, which says this, I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, saith the Lord, which is, which was, and which is to come, the Almighty. So again, my fellow opponent also says that that the angel is who Abraham dealt with. Okay, so if the angels who Abraham dealt with, let's hit Isaiah chapter 63, verse 16. It says, Doubtless thou art our father, though Abraham be ignorant of us, and Israel acknowledge us. Thou, O Yahweh, art our father and thy redeemer. Thy name is from everlasting. With that, I yield my time.
Okay. Shout out to young Israel for that very powerful opening. We're gonna hand this thing over now to Claim Your Inheritance. I mean, y'all guys be sleeping on Claim, man. Yeah, man. That's why I had to make him the debater of last week, man, because he did his thing. And he's coming real strong after them first two losses. Coming real strong. So y'all already know. When it comes to, anything for as sports, whatever, the person that's always going into this thing strong, going into the playoffs, is the one who makes it far in the playoffs. So, with that being said, it's on you. Claim your inheritance whenever you're ready, brother.
All right. New Jerusalem, the world's holiest government, presents as Emmanuel of Nazareth, his own father. I say no. The concept of Emmanuel being his very own father defies all logic and insults the natural order that the Ancient of Days set into motion, which is father and mother to son and daughter within every single form of life, from insects to plants to animals to fish to birds and so forth. The Heavenly Mother and Father caused everything to produce male and female after their kind. Logic leads us to realize that the angels they created before everything on earth must also be male and female, just like every other form of life. The opinion that Emmanuel is his own father can only be repeated until you accept it in your mind. This cannot be shown in the Bible anywhere. The lack of my opponent's knowledge in this matter has him missing out on a crucial understanding of the order and hierarchy of heaven that must be emulated in earth. His imaginary absence of people in heaven makes him focus on improper order and hierarchy in earth as he recruits for the kingdom. If my opponent knew better, he would do better by realizing Emmanuel had a mother and father and a female counterpart whenever he created the angels, who are logically created male and female like all other life in existence. My opponent will say with his lips that the text proving Emmanuel has both a father and mother contradicts other texts in the Bible. My position is that the Bible does not contradict itself. Therefore, his reading comprehension is lacking due to the mental block in his mind, making him imagine Emmanuel has no parents. The Most High's prayer that Emmanuel of Nazareth taught us to pray to his Father has an idea that we must emulate. That idea is, quote, "Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven," end quote. The Ancient of Days is not the author of his confusion. The Ancient of Days performs his will and manifests in earth what we will see in heaven. Not only will I prove that Emmanuel is not his own father, but I will show that there are many people in heaven, not just one old man alone in the sky. Zechariah 5:9 says, "Then lifted up I mine eyes and looked, and behold, there came out two women, and the wind was in their wings, for they had wings like the wings of a stork, and they lifted up the ephod between the earth and the heaven." My opponent might be thinking right now, "Holy ephod, Batman, are those female angels?" If I were the Black Sherlock Holmes, I would respond, "It's elementary, my dear Watson. Never trust to general impressions, my boy, but concentrate yourself upon details. My name is Sher Black Holmes. It's my business to know what other people don't know. What my opponent can invent, another can discover. There's nothing more stimulating than a case where everything goes against you." Zechariah 5:10 says, "Then said I to the male angel that talked with me, Whether do these bear the ephod? And he said unto me, The two women with stork wings go to build the ephod a house in the land of Shinar, and it shall be established and set there upon her own base." Guess who was inside the ephod, family? It was a wicked angel, and that wicked angel was a woman. It's obvious that angels Emmanuel of Nazareth created are both male and female, and not in the perverted hermaphrodite sense, but separate, thus the popular saying, "my better half," indicating male and female complementing each other as they continue in their maturity throughout life. Emmanuel is the leader of the angels, who are also called the sons and daughters of the Most High for a reason. A reason in this debate is that Emmanuel has a father and mother who is the Ancient of Days with no beginning and no end. The Emmanuel, being the Word, has a beginning and an end. Worship his father or die. Simple as that. I concede.
You concede your time. All right. Thanks a lot, brother. Claim your inheritance for dropping that opening. We're going to hand this thing back over to Young Israel for his premise. As what was requested, we'll set the timer for 20 minutes. Whenever you're ready, Young Israel, you could begin your premise.
Beautiful, beautiful. So again, with all that, the one thing that the brother did not address is where in the Bible it shows, which he will not be able to show me tonight, where angels worship angels. He will not be able to show me tonight where all the angels are worshiping another angel. And so with that being said, I would like to go to John chapter 14. I would like to start at verse 7 through 9 real quick. The book of John chapter 14, verse 7 through 9. And it reads, "If you had known me, you should have known my Father also. And from henceforth you know him and have seen him. Philip saith unto him, Master, show us the Father, and it sufficeth us. And Yeshua said unto him, Have I been so long time with you, and yet thou hast not known me, Philip? He that seen me has seen the Father. And how sayest thou then to show us the Father? Why is he speaking in first person when Philip is asking him, Lord, show us the Father? And this, he's replying in first person, have I not been with you so long, Philip, and you do not know me? He that has seen me has seen the Father. Now let's go over to 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 16 real quick. And I'm going to read it right here. It says, and without controversy, it says, great is the mystery of godliness. For God was manifest in the flesh, justified in the spirit, seen of angels, preached unto the Gentiles, believed on in the world, and received up into glory. So let's find out if Yeshua is his own Father. Let's go to Acts chapter 9 real quick. Because there's no, I said I'm going to Acts chapter 9 right now. Hold on. I was in John chapter 14, verse 7 through 9. No, I didn't say anything about Corinthians. No. So I'm going over to Acts chapter 9 right now. Okay, and it says in I'm start at verse 1. It says, and Saul, yet breathing out of threatenings and slaughter against the disciples of the Lord, went unto the high priest, and desired of him, led us to Damascus, and to the synagogues, that if he be found any of this way, whether they be, it says, whether they were men or women, he might bring them, it says, he might bring them bound unto Jerusalem. And it says, as he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly there shined round about him a light from heaven. And he fell on, it says, and he fell to the earth, and heard a voice saying, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? And he said, who art thou, Lord? And the Lord said, I am Yeshua, whom thou persecutest. It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. And it says, and he trembling and astonished said, Lord, what wilt thou have me to do? And the Lord said unto him, arise and go into the city, and it shall be told to thee what thou must do. Now check this. When you skip down a little bit, go down to verse 10. It says, and there was a certain disciple at Damascus named Ananias. And to him said the Lord in the vision, Ananias. And he said, behold, here I am. And it says, and the Lord said unto him, arise and go into the street, which is called Straight, and inquire the house of Judas, one called Saul of Tarsus, and behold, he prayed. And he had seen a man, it says he had seen in a vision a man named Ananias coming in and putting his hand on him that he might receive his sight. Now, basically, the Most High is now going to Ananias, telling Ananias to relay a message to Paul. So I'm going to go down to verse 14 and 15 real quick. It says, and okay, I'm going to read verse 13. It says, and Ananias said, Lord, I have heard many of this man, how much evil he had done to the saints of Jerusalem. And it says, and here he have authority from the chief priest to bind all that call on thy name. But the Lord said, this is Yeshua speaking to Ananias, unto him, go thy way, for he is a chosen vessel unto me to bear my name before Gentiles and kings and the children of Israel. So right here, the Most High is telling Ananias to relay a message to Shaul, Paul, and let him know that he is chosen of me. So let's see what Ananias actually told Paul when he went to him. Acts chapter 22, verse 12 through 14. It says, and one Ananias, a devout man, according to the law, having a good report of all the Jews which dwelt there, came unto me and stood and said unto me, brother Saul, receive thy sight. And in the same hour I looked upon him, and he said, the God of our fathers have chosen thee. Remember, Yeshua was the one that told told Ananias to go tell Paul, I have chosen him. And so here's Ananias telling Paul, the God of our fathers have chosen thee, that thou shouldest know his will and see the just one and thou shouldest hear the voice of his mouth. So again, if the angel, again, if the angel is just the God of our fathers, and this is not the Most High himself, then we have a problem. Because again, we don't see nowhere in Revelation, which the brother will not be able to show me anywhere, where an angel is eternally being worshipped, and he will still not be able to show me where Christ is so-called worshiping his Father on the throne in Revelation. That's interesting in Revelation, that Christ is not worshiping his Father on the throne, but yet all creation must worship God. But in Revelation, Christ is not worshiping God. That's interesting. So with that being said, I also want to hit Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 14. Now, this is what Ecclesiastes, because the Most High is not the author of confusion. He's not going to say one thing in the Old Testament and then turn around and say another thing in the New Testament. That's not how it works. It says this: for God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. That's Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 14. Now, I'm going to go to 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 10. It says this: for we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, that everyone may receive the things done in his body according to that he have done, whether it be good or evil. We just read that about the Most High God in Revelation, in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 14. So again, he's still not going to be able to show me where, because again, according to Revelation, all creation must worship God. Nowhere in Revelation is Christ worshiping God, but I can show you where he's being worshiped. I can't show you where he's worshiping his quote unquote Father. So with that, I yield my time, brother.
All right. Shout out to young Israel. You know what I'm saying? We're going to hand this thing over now to brother. Claim your inheritance. You got to watch this young Israel, man. Don't sleep on young Israel. I'm telling you, because this always happens on the Solar Vision Debate League. You get caught sleeping and you end up getting all cut up with the information. So, claim is on you, brother, whenever you're ready.
Okay, give me 1 second here. All right, I'm ready. Okay. So where young Israel is confused is that he imagines that Yahweh is the father of Emmanuel, but I'll clear that up for you. So just take notes. All right. In John 1:1, before our concept of time,
we can't see the whole John 1:1. If that's the screen doing that, or
yeah, it's not. It don't want to play. One second. All right. I'll just click on it as it goes.
There you go.
All right. All right. John 1:1. Before our concept of time was the Word, which is the Aleph Tav, and the Word was with the Ancient of Days, and the Word was Yahweh. Genesis 1:1. Barashit Eloha Bara'eth Shamayim Et Eretz. Ideally translated, before our concept of time, wisdom with the Ancient of Days created the Word who created the heavens. The Word created the earth. Revelations 1:8 says, I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, the Almighty. Alpha and Omega are the first and last letter in the Greek alphabet. However, John the Revelator spoke Hebrew, so Emmanuel spoke Hebrew to John, and he heard Aleph Tav instead of Alpha and Omega. Aleph and Tav weren't translated in Genesis 1:1 in the King James translation. That's why I took the liberty to translate it for you. This is the same person as the Word in John 1:1. Wisdom is a distinct life form that can be shared with anybody to possess her and always referred to as female in the Old Testament. Job 12:12 says, with the Ancient of Days is wisdom, and in length of days is understanding. The Israelite prophet Daniel said, I beheld till the thrones of Babylon were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. In Daniel 7, verse 9. He also said, I saw the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and come to the Ancient of Days, and they brought the Son of Man near before the Ancient of Days in Daniel 7:13. Daniel 7:14 says, and there was given to the Son of Man dominion and glory and a kingdom that all people, nations, and languages should serve the Son of Man. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. Here we see the Ancient of Days destroyed the Babylonian system, and the Son of Man inherited a righteous system of incorrupt people on earth as it is in heaven. Sounds like exactly what the Ancient of Days said unto Jehiah, sit thou at my right hand until I make thine enemies thy footstool, in Psalms 110:1, a Psalm of David. I had to bring out the stick men to show that there are three people involved here. So this is hard for people to understand. So I have to break it down for you. Hebrews 1:13 says, but to which of the angels said he at any time, sit on my right hand until I make thine enemies thy footstool, proving once again that Emmanuel's pre-human form was that of an angel who was sent to do his Father's will. Jehiah is the most obedient son of the Ancient of Days. All angels hold the titles of both Lucifer and the sons of God, the Ancient of Days. According to the king of Edom, Jobab, in his record in Job 38:4, Jehiah asked King Jobab, where are you? Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Let me know if you have understanding. Come on, brother, stop playing. Where were you if you have understanding? Okay, Job 38:7. When the morning stars, or Lucifers, sang together, and all the sons of the Ancient of Days shouted for joy as they witnessed the creation of the earth that was formless after the creation of the heavens. Have my opponent answered for you, family? How many Lucifers or sons of the Ancient of Days witnessed this creation of the earth from heaven? The answer is in Revelation 5:11, where John says, and I beheld, and I heard the voice of many angels round about the throne, and the beasts of the elders, and the number of them was 10,000 times 10,000, and thousands of thousands, saying with a loud voice together, worthy is the Lamb that was slain to receive power, and riches, and wisdom, and strength, and honor, and glory, and blessing. And every creature which is in heaven, and on the earth, and under the earth, and such as are in the sea, and all that are in them, heard I saying, blessing and honor, and glory, and power be unto him that sits upon the throne, and unto the Lamb forever and ever. This exactly parallels the Ancient of Days who was witnessed sitting in the fiery throne by Daniel, the Israelite prophet. Remember? The Son of Man was brought near the Ancient of Days to accept his kingdom. Here, the Son of Man in Daniel is called the Lamb in Revelation. These are clear distinctions between the Father and the wonderful Son. Matthew 16:19, and I will give unto you the keys of the kingdom, and whosoever you shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever you shall loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. So when you hear in Emmanuel's father's prayer, quote, "Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven," end quote, this is not only their expectation for believers, but it's also the will of the heavenly society that I've been describing. They want their kingdom to be experienced by humans. Everything that has happened in heaven plays out slowly on earth. Earth is a slowed down mirror of heaven. So we've seen how Emmanuel was born and how he fulfilled the rules he put in place for earth, among other things, like the ordinance of the sun, moon, and stars. He was born of a mother named Mary and married to a woman named Mary. Likewise, Emmanuel's father, with wisdom, who's also cited as a female, had a son with a wife called Wisdom. Or not technically a wife, but for lack of a better word. We learned that by reading Proverbs 8:30, which says, "Then I, wisdom, was by Jehiah as one brought up or raised with him, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing always before him." Rejoicing in the habitable part of the earth Jehiah created. And my delights were with the sons of men. So wisdom's favorite thing to do is be around the sons of men. The only way to experience that is to attach herself to women like she did with Mary and Elizabeth, for example, because it pleases her to make men rich. This cannot happen righteously without a righteous woman by a man's side, not unlike the rib of Adam, who owned the entire earth before he chose his wife over obedience to Jehiah. Take note that this wisdom, Elohim, was raised with Jehiah, and she's a female. Proverbs 8:11 says, "For wisdom is better than rubies, and all the things that may be desired are not to be compared to it." Proverbs 8:22 says, "Jehiah possessed me wisdom before his works of old." Proverbs 8:23, "I, wisdom, was set up from everlasting, from the beginning, forever the earth was." 24, "When there were no depths, I was brought forth, when there were no fountains abounding with water." This description of the female wisdom can easily be compared to the virtuous wife in Proverbs 31:10, which says, "Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies." Remember? Proverbs 8:11 says, "For wisdom is better than rubies." So people who study these records sincerely know the information is accurate, and Jehiah had parents that was shown in earth as it is in heaven, clearly by the birth of Emmanuel, who had a father and mother as a human. That's clearly reflected in heaven before our concept of time. I'll bring it home with the home run text in this debate. 1 Corinthians 15 and Matthew 17. Just as we read with the two witnesses earlier in the Israelite prophet Daniel and the Israelite prophet John the Revelator, when his father offered him the kingdoms of earth to the Son of Man and the Lamb respectively. And when you see all the kingdoms of earth being rejected by Emmanuel when offered by Satan, and when we read in Psalms that his father told Emmanuel to sit at his right hand until his father makes earth Emmanuel's footstool. 1 Corinthians 15 is the fifth witness to make the distinction that Emmanuel of Nazareth has a father who alone we must worship or die. 1 Corinthians 15:24 says, "Then comes the end, when he shall have delivered up the kingdom to the Ancient of Days, even the Father, when he shall have put down all rule and all authority and power. For he must reign till he hath put all enemies under his feet. The last enemy that shall be destroyed is death. For he hath put all things under his feet. But when he says all things are put under him, it is manifest that he is expected, which did put all things under him. Accepted, which did put all things under him. And when all things shall be subdued unto him, then shall the Son also himself be subject unto, that the Ancient of Days may be all in all. Okay. That's what you need to focus on, that the Father will be all in all. Matthew 17:5 says, while Peter yet spoke, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and behold, the Ancient of Days out of the cloud, which said, this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him. There ain't no way around it. Anything less than praying to and worshiping Emmanuel's Father is idolatry. Walk away from your teacher in this blasphemous lesson before it's too late, young Israel. I want to see you in New Jerusalem. Salah. Finally, I'll leave you with this understanding of heaven and earth. Psalms 110:4. The Ancient of Days has sworn and won't change his mind. Yahweh is a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. Hebrews 7, 1-3. Where we read, who met Abraham? My fault. I have a little technical difficulties here. Who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings and blessed him? To whom also Abraham gave a 10th part of all. First being by interpretation, king of righteousness. And after that, also king of Salem, which is the king of peace. Without father, without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of days nor end of life. We know that Yahweh has a beginning and an end. But made like unto the Son of God, abideth a priest forever. Isaiah 9:6 calls Yahweh the Prince of Peace. Daniel 8:25 calls Yahweh the Prince of Princes. I can see it.
All right. Thanks a lot, Brother Claim Your Inheritance, for laying it down for your premise. We're going to go now to the 10-minute rebuttal. Let me set this timer for 10 minutes. Hand this thing over to young Israel. Whenever you're ready, you can begin, brother.
All right. So what the brother fails to realize is, first of all, he's taking a lot of metaphoric and things literal. Now, he mentioned earlier that that in Proverbs about wisdom being a woman. Now, first of all, when you go into the Hebrew context, the name of the book itself should tell you that it's not literal. And so with that, I'm going to read Proverbs chapter 3, verse 19. This is simply a female attribute, but this is not literally saying wisdom is a literal female. It says by wisdom, it says Yahweh by wisdom hath founded the earth, and by understanding hath he established the heavens. So now we got him. Is he founding the earth by two separate beings here? Jeremiah chapter 10 verse 12. It says he that made the earth by his power he have established by his wisdom and has stretched out the heavens by his discretion. Now the brother mentioned 1 Corinthians 15. I would like to go there real quick because he's not putting a distinction between godship and sonship. We read in John 1, even if you want to put a difference between the Greek word, as it says theos and theon, the subject itself is logos, which literally means the plan. And so he would have to address, he was in the world, John 1:10, which says he was in the world and the world was made by him and the world knew him not. With Malachi 2:10 saying, have we not all one God? Have not the Father created us? So I'm going to go to 1 Corinthians 15 real quick. Because when we're talking about the Son putting down all rule, are we talking about Yeshua altogether? Are we talking about a dominion from one dominion to the other dominion? I'm about to read that for y'all, because we got to keep reading. Just like he quoted Daniel chapter 7. Many people read stop from 9 to 13, but nobody wants to keep reading. So with that, let me go down to 1 Corinthians 15 verse 28, which he read. It says, and when all things shall be subdued unto him, so then shall the Son also himself be subject unto him that put all things under him, that God may be all in all. Now let's reconcile that with 1 Corinthians 3:11, which literally says Christ is all in all. Now let's keep going down in 1 Corinthians 15 for a second real quick, so we can get the context of what it means about putting down all rule. Because you have to compare putting down all rule with the rest of the verses, which says of his government there should be no end, with the rest of the verses which are saying that that he has a dominion which shall not be destroyed. But yet you're saying there's an end. And so I'm gonna read verse 45 to 47 in the same chapter, 1 Corinthians 15. It says, and so it is written, the first man, Adam, was made a living soul, and the last Adam was made a quickening spirit. Howbeit that was not first which is spiritual, but that which is natural, and afterward that which is spiritual. The first man is of the earth and earthly. The second man is the Lord from heaven. Again, this brother doesn't understand the difference between godship and sonship. The Most High did not become a son until he came in the flesh. When you go back to the Old Testament, Exodus chapter 4:22 says, Yasharal, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. So when he came, even in Hosea 11:1, he said, out of Egypt have I called my son. And I love, when Israel was a child, I loved him. And you got Matthew 2 saying that Yeshua fulfilled that. Why? Because the Most High came as his own son to save creation. Now, he mentioned the distinction also between Daniel 7 when it talks about the Son of Man coming to the Ancient of Days. Now, the Western Christianity mindset has you believing that this was a literal event that took place, where you believe that there were angels literally bringing this man to the Father. That's not what it's talking about, brother. You need to learn the difference between a vision and what's literal. We can see in John 13, which I'm about to read, proving that this Son of Man was the Most High himself who glorified himself when he came to earth. And I'm going to read it in John chapter 13, verse 32. Keep in mind that the so-called Son of Man came to the Ancient of Days as a separate entity. Keep that in mind. It says right here, John 13:32. It says, if God be glorified, I'm going to start at verse 31. John chapter 13, verse 31. Therefore, when he was gone out, Yeshua said, now is the Son of Man glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God be glorified in him, God shall also glorify him in himself, and shall straightway glorify him. Explain how he's going to glorify him in himself, with the understanding that the so-called Son of Man, which was a separate entity, came to the Ancient of Days. Right here is saying that he's glorified within himself. Also, 1 Corinthians 15 is saying that the second man was literally the Lord from heaven. So again, it's so much that this brother is not going to be able to reconcile. As I stated earlier, as all the scriptures and the PowerPoints that the brother brought up hasn't showed me, or yet to show me, where angels worship angels, where on the throne, because it said all the angels worship God, but I can't see, which no one can show me in Revelation, where Christ is worshiping the Father in Revelation, but I can show you where he's on the throne. Now, with that, let me hit Revelation chapter 21, verse 5. Now, we know the Father's the one that sat upon the throne. We know that. So it says, and he that sat upon the throne said, behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, write, for these words are faithful and true. This is the Father, he that sat upon the throne. And he said unto me, it is done. I am Alpha and Omega. I want y'all to understand, the brother already admitted that this said Aleph and Tau earlier. Got that on record. So again, I'm going to read it. He that sat upon the throne, that's the Father, said, behold, I make all things new. And he said, it says, write, for these words are faithful and true. And he, who? The Father that sat upon the throne, said, I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely. That's interesting that the Father says that, because the Messiah says the same literal thing in John 4:14. Let me read that for y'all. But whosoever drinketh, is John 4:14, but whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst again. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing into everlasting life. Now, explain to me, supposedly the Son put down all rule as a separate entity. In Revelation 21, you have he that sat upon the throne, which is the Father, saying, I am Alpha and Omega. And yet, after the Father says that, according to you, he's separate. So explain to me why the Messiah is coming back in Revelation 22, which is the last chapter, saying, I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. But I thought he that sat upon the throne said that. So you can't have two Alpha and Omegas, brother. With that, that's my time, brother.
Woo! I don't know, man. I don't know. That's all I'm gonna say is I don't know. We're gonna go now to Brother Claim the Inheritance. We're gonna set this timer for 10 minutes. Whenever you brother, you could begin.
Okay, in order for something to have a beginning and an end, it must be created. Okay, so we know that Mashiach was created. You imagine that he was created as a human, but he pre-existed as Yahweh. And you agree with that. So you just imagine that Yahweh does not have a father. All right, so you keep harping on this angel. That's the only point you got. So let me knock that on out your tooth right quick. Exodus 3:2, it says, and the angel of the Ancient of Days appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. This is the person that you worship, Yahweh, brother. It says down here what his name is. He said, what's your name? He said, take your shoes off because you're on holy ground. What's your name? He said, why you ask me what my name is? And that angel, Yahweh, said unto Moses, I am that I am. And he said, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am hath sent me unto you. And Yahweh said moreover unto Moses, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, the Ancient of Days, Elohim, of your fathers, and the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Isaac, and the Elohim of Jacob has sent me unto you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial unto all generations. So that's your angel argument gone. Poof. Vamoose. Okay. Hebrews 1, right, talks about in 1 and 3 says, who being the brightness of his glory and the express image of his person, and upholding all things by the word of his power, when he had by himself purged our sins, sat down on the right hand of the majesty on high, next to, beside the Ancient of Days. This is why his father is described as the Ancient of Days that no one has ever seen except for his son. John 14:28. It says, you've heard how I said unto you, I go away and come again unto you. If you loved me, you would rejoice, because I said, I go unto the Father, for my Father is greater than I. Why didn't he say, I'm the Father there, just like you said earlier? Me and my Father, when you see me, you see the Father. But what your understanding is lacking is that he's saying that since he's the greatest son, then it's about his reputation. It's about the Father's reputation, and he's upholding his Father's reputation. So this is what you're looking at when you see the Son. You see the Father's reputation. All that he wants done, the Son does. In John 10:29, it says, "My Father which gave them me is greater than all, and no man is able to pluck them out of my Father's hand. I and my Father are one," meaning unified. So these are two separate beings that are unified together. They act the same. The Son acts the same as the Father, wants everything his Father's will to be done in earth as it is in heaven. Okay. There was another point you tried to make. I can't remember what it was. But hopefully I'm making this quite clear. How much time I'm working with?
You got 5 minutes and 30 seconds left.
Okay. So. Okay, for sake of time, since I can't remember that last point you tried to make, it was pretty frivolous and light anyway. I'll just probably add it to my closing.
All right.
I can see my time.
Okay, no doubt, no doubt. We're gonna get into the rapid fire. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna set this timer for 15 minutes. And brother, claim your inheritance. Since young Israel went first, you have the privilege now to ask the first question whenever you're ready, brother.
Okay. All right. How do you explain these verses that I'm bringing up here where Moses spoke with an angel?
Beautiful. I got you right now. I already prepared for that, brother. So Exodus 3:2, when it says the angel appeared. So you're saying basically that the angel is the one that spoke to Moses, right?
Of course.
Beautiful. So now you have to admit that he's his own father, according to what I'm about to read to you. Let's say Deuteronomy 4 real quick. Beautiful. So they heard the voice of the angel. Let's stick with that. It says, "And Yahweh spoken to you out of the midst of the fire," which you believe is an angel. Cool. And it says, "Ye heard the voice of the words, but saw no similitude, only ye heard a voice." Now, I'm going to go down. I'm still in Deuteronomy chapter 4. And I'm going to go down to verse 33 to 36. Now, keep in mind, you said that it was the angel that spoke. So now you got to agree to what I'm about to read. It says, "Did ever a people hear the voice of God speaking out of the midst of the fire, as thou hast heard and lived? Or have God essayed to go and take him a nation from the midst of another nation, by temptations, by signs, and by wonders, and by war, and by mighty hand, and by a stretched out arm, and by great terrors, according to all that Yahweh your Elohim did for you in Egypt before your eyes? Unto it was showed that thou mightest know that Yahweh, which you say is an angel, he is God, and there is none else besides him." So according to you, you seem to be denying the Father. If this angel, if we're not supposed to know no other God but this angel, but yet this angel has a God. Now with that, I'm gonna hit Deuteronomy 5 real quick, because let's go. We got to stick with you saying, which you can't change, that the angel's the one, which is a separate entity, spoke out of the bush. Let's deal with that. So Deuteronomy 5:24, "And ye said," it says, "And ye said, Behold, Yahweh our Elohim has showed us his glory and his greatness, and we have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. And we have seen this day that God doeth talk with man, and he liveth." It says, "Now why should we die? For this great fire will consume us. If we hear this voice of Yahweh our Elohim anymore, then we shall die." Watch this. Verse 26 is a key question. "For who is there of all flesh that have heard the voice of the living God speaking out of the midst of the fire, as we have and lived?" Now we all can agree that the living God is the Father. That's my answer, brother.
Okay. Are angels called Elohim?
Brother. Yeah, of course, but they're also called Malachim. There's only one Elohim.
So does Elohim mean God?
Yes, it does, brother.
Okay, so when you hear about all that you just said, and then you reflect on Exodus 3 and 2 here, where it says,
Right.
and the angel of the Ancient of Days appeared unto Moses in a flame of fire.
Mm-hmm.
So we can call the angel God.
Okay.
Because
And who else is the living God?
that's what it does here in Exodus 3 and 14. It
But it
calls
says
him
they
God
heard. It says they heard
over
the
and over
living
again. It
God.
calls the angel God.
But it
Yeah,
says they
that's
heard the
right. It's
living
the
God.
living God. The living God is the firstborn of all creation. That's exactly what I
You
tried to.
admitted that he was his own father, because in the flesh, what was he called? The son of the living God.
Huh? Say that again.
You just admitted that he was his own father, because you're saying that the angel was called the living God. But when I'm telling you that he came, when Yah came in the flesh, he was called the son of the living God. So again, which indicates that the living God is the Father. And I just showed you where it says that they heard the voice of the living God.
Yeah. So in Exodus 3 and 2, it calls that God that you keep calling God an angel.
But I just showed you that in the same sense, they said, we have heard the living God speak out of the bush. We know that the living God is the Father. So again, when he came in the flesh, remember he was called.
You're just repeating that. You just saying that. It doesn't mean that it's true.
I just read it for you, brother. Are you not seeing it?
Yeah, you're not showing it.
Okay,
Brother,
let me go back.
what is that verse that you said the living God spoke out the bush? What was that? The Deuteronomy 5 and 24?
Yes, read. It's Deuteronomy 5 and 24 through 26, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it's actually 26. It says, for who is there of all flesh that have heard the voice of the living God speaking out of the midst of the fire as we have and lived?
Okay, are angels immortal?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so would they be living gods?
Brother, but see, we know the context right here. And we just read in Deuteronomy 4 that it said there's no God beside the God that spoke out of the bush. That they said there's no God beside him. So what's the context there, brother? Who else is it talking about?
Well, this is what I tried to remember in my rebuttal, because you keep talking about the living God and all that. But in Colossians 1:15, it says, who is the image of the invisible God? Well, I'll call that hidden God, but it says invisible God. Okay. Who is the image of the invisible God, which you imagine to be Yahweh?
Yep.
But it's actually the Ancient of Days. That's what I'm trying to make a distinction about.
Okay.
The firstborn. Wait, let me read the scripture, brother. Don't read the scripture. The firstborn of every creature. So it tells you that something created Yahweh.
Not at all, brother. Not at all.
Ancient of Days.
Not at all, brother.
That's not what it's talking about. All night long. All night long.
Brother, it says in verse 7, it says in verse 17, he is before all things, and by him all things consist, brother.
Who?
In Colossians 1 about Messiah. Yeah. It says in verse 16, for by him, you got to understand the context of why it's saying firstborn. Not firstborn as in he was created first. Firstborn as in he's creator of all, brother. It says, for by him were all things created. Now, you have to reconcile that with Malachi 2:10, which says, have we not all one Father? Have not one God created us? That's a direct product to the Father, brother. So you can't have more than one creator.
Let me show you what I did in my presentation, which you clearly ignored because you're not rebutting what I'm saying. Daniel 7:13 says, I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven and came to the Ancient of Days.
I just told you that that's a vision, brother.
And they brought him near before him.
Brother, that's a vision.
They brought Yahweh near before the Ancient of Days.
Brother, do you think that when Daniel was saying that was something that was literally taking place in the Shema?
Confused, brother.
Brother, do you believe
this is the reason why he saw two different separate beings?
Oh, he did not.
Because he had to see it that way, because that's what it actually is. So then you have to put them together
Brother.
in order to
And I just showed you,
fit your argument.
and I rebutted that with John chapter 13:32, when he says he shall straightway glorify the Son of Man within himself. You're not understanding that. You're looking at Daniel 7 as if this was a literal event, that literally the angels was bringing a man before the Father when it was a vision and it meant something. Now, if you were to read all the way down to verse 25, you would cut yourself, because many people want to read to verse 9 and 13.
Okay, my bad. Let me do that. Daniel 7:22. Until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints
Okay.
of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of the kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them. And he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given unto his hand until a time and times and the dividing of times. Now you might think that's Jehiah, but that's actually one of the popes. And I would guess Pope Gregory did that, because he's the one that created the Gregorian calendar to confuse everybody in the world.
Right.
So now that doesn't have anything to do with Jesus being the same as his father.
Let me read this. Daniel 7. When you go back to verse
now I got to go back. I thought you said to read the verse 25.
No, again, when you go back, the angel Daniel didn't even understand the vision. It says, and there was given, after it says, and there was given unto him glory and a kingdom.
Where did the angel describe the vision for him?
You said, where did the angel describe the vision for him?
Yeah, where did he break it down for him?
Verse 15 through 22. It says this: I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. And I came near to one of them that stood by. Obviously, this has to be a messenger. And I asked the truth of all this. So he told me, it says, and he told me and made me know the interpretation of these things. These are the great beasts, which are 4 and 4 kings, and shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High. Remember, I just said earlier that we were his son as a nation before he came in the flesh as his son. So yes, I'm telling you, he himself came as a son of man.
But right? He's not saying anything about him being his father.
Brother, how many Alpha and Omegas are there? I just showed you again.
Brother, there's one Alpha and Omega, that's Jehiah. The Ancient of Days is a separate person.
Do you agree that the Father's the one that sit on the throne then?
Yeah, Jehiah don't sit on the throne. You just repeating that because you have to in order to.
So who sits on the throne, the Father or the Son, if you say they're separate?
It always says that Jehiah's father is sitting on the throne.
So why is the Father saying I'm Alpha and Omega? So again, why is the Father saying I'm Alpha and Omega?
Because the Father came in and he said, "Sit thou at my right hand until I make the earth your footstool." Hold on, brother. Let me answer your question. I'll be giving you plenty of time to answer. Plenty of time to answer. All right. So it says, "Sit thou at my right hand until I make the earth your footstool." That's the Father telling the Son to sit here until I make the earth your footstool. So he's resting. So he gets a double chance to rest. He gets to rest for 2 days instead of 1. So now his father destroyed all the Babylonian system kingdoms in the future, every last one of them, just as I showed in my presentation, and then handed over the kingdom to his son.
Right. So you keep saying, interestingly, that Yahweh is not the Father, right? You keep interestingly saying that, right?
Yeah.
So can you explain to me?
You can't show it anywhere in the text. When you gonna show it in the text, man? You just keep repeating.
It says the scriptures say by name that Yahweh is our Father, point blank.
You ain't showed that. Not one time. Where is it at?
Let's hit Isaiah 3 and 16. I have showed that already. If I have
It says he will be called the everlasting Father whenever the Father.
No. I didn't say Isaiah 9:6. See, you wrong already, brother. I said Isaiah 63:16.
63 and 16.
You said that Yahweh was not the Father, and I'm about to read to you Yahweh is the Father.
53 and 16 is what you meant to say.
63 and 16, brother.
63 and 16. Okay.
It says, doubtless thou art our father, though Abraham be ignorant of us, and Israel acknowledge us not. Thou, O Yahweh, you said Yahweh was not the Father. Thou, O Yahweh, art our Father, and our Redeemer. Thy name is from everlasting. Now again, Malachi 2:10 says we have one Father. Ephesians 4 says there's one God and Father. So again, you can't say that Yahweh is not the Father, because I just showed you right here by name that Yahweh is the Father.
That's because he's the Father of creation, and Yahweh was created by his Father.
How many fathers are there, brother? Please tell me.
Many times I've shown many scriptures that say that Yahweh is created by his Father. You can't get around that at all. And
I just showed you where Yahweh is the Father. You can't get around that.
Yeah, he is our Father. Yeah, of course.
But how many fathers do we have, brother?
You can have a father. You can have a grandfather.
No. We dealing with how many fathers?
Hold, brother. Don't cut me off when I'm answering the question. Okay. All right. So you can have a father, a grandfather, a great-grandfather, a great-great-grandfather. You can have ancestors up to 16,000 fathers in the past. Right. So that's what you don't understand. So there are many fathers, of course.
Okay. So with that,
okay. About how many fathers there are. Okay. He is our Father. Yahweh is our Father, and he has a father called the Ancient of Days in the text.
Okay, beautiful. So with that,
separates them over and over again throughout the whole scriptures.
But here's the problem with what you're saying. Remember, Yahweh is in heaven, right? Or he's the omnipotent spirit. So when you go to Malachi 2:10, it says, have we not all one Father? Have not one God created us? That's direct product that there's no second creator or no other creator except Yahweh, which is our Father. And it says there's only one Father.
He was created.
It doesn't say that.
Wow.
It doesn't say that he was created. This is Malachi asking a question.
You again. Don't worry about it.
Brother, So check this out. Can you show me again? Because you just agreed that the Father's. Oh.
All right. Shout out to the debaters. That was an excellent rapid fire round. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna set this timer for 5 minutes, and we're gonna give each debater a time to close this thing out. So without further ado, we're gonna hand this thing over to Young Israel. Whenever you're ready, you could begin, brother.
Most definitely, man. So I want to close out with these couple of verses real quick. I'm gonna go to Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 10. It says, I, Yahweh, search the heart, and I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings. So we know the word says we have to rightly divide the word of truth. So I'm going to read that again. It says, I, Yahweh, search the heart, and I try the reins to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings. Now, when you go over to Revelation chapter 2, verse 23, these are the words of Mashiach. And I will kill her children with death, and all the churches shall know that I am he, which searcheth the reins and in the hearts. And I will give every one of you according to your works. Again, as I addressed before, we know that the Father is the one sitting on the throne in Revelation, which I still haven't simply got an explanation all night for how the Father is the one saying I'm Alpha and Omega. Yet the Son, which is supposedly a separate entity saying I'm Alpha and Omega, can both be Alpha and Omega. And so we have to go according to what the scriptures say. He says that our Father has a Father. Well, let's see how many fathers is it. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 6 says, I'm going to start at verse 5. There is one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is above all and through all and in you all. Now, let me go to Proverbs 3:12 real quick. Because there's one Father above all. So Proverbs chapter 3, verse 12. And it says this, for whom Yahweh loveth, he correct, even as a father the son in whom he delighteth. Remember, Israel was the son and the servant in whom he delighted in the Old Testament before he took on flesh. So it says again, for Yahweh, this is Proverbs 3 and 12, loveth. It says, for whom Yahweh loveth, he correcteth, even as a father the son in whom he delighteth. So let's get Hamashiach's words in Revelation chapter 3, and I believe it's at around about verse 18. I'm sorry, I said verse 19. It says, and as many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Be zealous, therefore, and repent. Now, keep in mind, there's only one spirit according to Ephesians 4. According to Psalms 24, it talks about how the King of glory, which is a spirit, shall come in. There's only one spirit. So I need an explanation, which I'm closing. This is the closing right here. Revelation 3:18. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the, and it says, if any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him. This is Messiah. I will come into him and will sup with him, and he will sup with me. Remember, there's one God and Father in us all. And Messiah says right here, if we hear his voice, he will come in to us. With that, that's my closing.
All right. Solid. We're going to hand this thing over to Brother. Claim your inheritance. We set the timer 5 minutes. Brother, whenever you're ready, you could begin your closing.
Okay. Emmanuel is now the high priest of the order of Melchizedek, the immortal son of the Ancient of Days. Isaiah 28:10 says, for precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little. For with stammering lips and another tongue will I speak to this people. To whom he said, this is the rest wherewith ye may cause the weary to rest. And this is the refreshing, yet they would not hear. It's now clear to this audience that heaven is a society of people, both male and female, complete with a government that we must emulate in earth. All prayers and worship must be reserved for Emmanuel's Father under the express orders of his wonderful Son. Anything short of the orders of his wonderful Son misses the mark and is idolatry, in which you have your reward. Let's recap the witnesses of this fact that Emmanuel has a father. Genesis 1:1 says, with wisdom, the Ancient of Days created Aleph Tav, which is the word, mentioned in John 1:1. Revelation explicitly describes Emmanuel as the Aleph Tav, the word conveniently left out of Genesis 1:1 to be a stumbling block to the Jews, Egyptians, and Assyrians. King of Edom, Jobab, is a witness to the Ancient of Days. The Israelite prophet Daniel is a witness to the Ancient of Days on his fiery throne, destroying the unruly, unjust, and disrespectful nations of the earth, only to hand over those kingdoms to his wonderful son Emmanuel in Daniel 7. The King of Israel, David, is a witness to that prophecy when he stated, the Ancient of Days said unto Jehiah, sit thou at my right hand until I make thine enemies thy footstool, in Psalm 110. Jehiah challenged Job to show gratitude when he explained that he created everything Job enjoys and takes for granted in Job 38. John the Revelator saw millions of angels and wrote in a book with full obedience. We got to remember that the ancients didn't know these things, and we take these records for granted today. My opponent agrees that angels are God. So you got to make the distinctions very clear when you present this information, because there's very subtle differences that need to be made. I can only imagine how amazed John was when he witnessed the events that he had to record in a book in Revelations 5. The Father's prayer taught to us by his wonderful Son shows us that we must pray to the Father in the name of the Son because he's the high priest under the order of Melchizedek. The way of Jesus' Father that supersedes the Levitical priesthood and is shown in Hebrews 7:3 to be without father, without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made like unto the Son of God, abides a priest non-stop. If you continue trying to justify your lie, you'd have to make Emmanuel this man, Melchizedek, that Abraham paid tithes to after slaughtering the kings of his homeland. You can't. You'd have to ignore the difference of the olive and tav, or the word having a beginning and an end, when this man has no beginning, no end, no mother, no father, without descent. You have to ignore Emmanuel being the firstborn of every creature and the beginning of the creation of the Ancient of Days in Revelation 3:14. Psalm 8 proves Yahweh was both created by and with wisdom in Genesis 1:1, just like he was birthed by the wisest woman Mary and married a wise woman named Mary. It mirrors itself. Where you think we get the word married from, will you ignore all these facts too? What's loosed in heaven is loosed in earth. What's bound in earth is bound in heaven. Everything the Father wants done is done in both heaven and earth. It just happens slower on earth. We're on a different time scale. Matthew 17:5 says it's straight out of the mouth of Emmanuel's Father announcing his wonderful Son. In conclusion, I pray to Emmanuel's Father that your mind was renewed and you abandon your false lesson of idolatry. Ain't no way around it.
Hey, Claim, what was that last verse you quoted?
Matthew 17:5.
And what was that making reference to?
That is the transfiguration when he spoke, when Jesus had transfigured into his light body and spoke with Moses and Elijah. And then a voice came out of the cloud saying, "This is my wonderful Son." And that's the Ancient of Days who gave, the stamp, put the stamp of approval on Jesus.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, brother. Yeah, family, shout out to both debaters. It's very interesting debate. You already know what time it is. You know how we get down here on Solar Vision Debate League. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to ask the viewers, who should I interrogate first? Is it Young Israel? You can press 1 for Young Israel and press 2 for Claim Your Inheritance. 1 for Young Israel, 2 for Claim Your Inheritance. Who should be first for the interrogation? Yeah. We gets busy here on Solar Vision Debate League. Shout out to the family. Let me see. We got 3 2s and 2 1s. Interesting. Kind of mixed, actually. Okay. It looks like it's more 2s than 1s. So we're gonna go with Young Israel. Claim Your Inheritance was 2, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna go with claim your inheritance. What's going on? Claim.
Killing, man.
Chilling.
Populating as usual. Depopulating Esau every day.
All right. Watch your mouth, man. You talking about my father, man.
Stop that, man.
So I'm gonna stop saying that because there was somebody in the comment section like, "Yo," I think it was Terry Smoot. He was
that
like, "Yo,
hoax.
Solar Mind's father is white, man. He's trying to." Nah, I'm just messing with them guys, man. My father's a black man. Yeah, let's go to let me grab my sword real quick. Let's go to John chapter 4. John chapter 14. Are you there, brother?
Uh-huh.
All right, John chapter 14, verses 7 through 9 says, "If ye have known me, ye should have known my Father also, and from henceforth ye know him, and have seen him." Philip said unto him, Lord, show us the Father, and it sufficeth us. Jesus saith unto him, Have I been so long time with you, and yet hast thou not known me, Philip? He that hath seen me hath seen the Father. And how sayest thou then, shew us the Father? Brother, what are you getting out of these verses?
Okay, so he also said that no man has seen the Father ever. And in John 14, 28, it says, Ye have heard how I said unto you, I go away and come again unto you. If you love me, you would rejoice, because I said, I go unto the Father. For my Father is greater than I. That's my answer.
That was your answer for John chapter 14, verse 28. But we was on John chapter 14, verse 7 through 9. So I wanted to know what was your explanation of those verses.
The way I explain it is by his own explanation, which is later on in the chapter, and also where it says, no one has seen the Father but the Son. And that
no, you're trying to refute the verse with another verse. Well, I want to know your understanding of what this verse is saying.
Okay. If you had known me, you should have known my Father also, and from henceforth you know me and have seen him. Philip said unto him, Lord, show us the Father, and it suffices us. Jesus said unto him, Have I been so long time with you, and yet hast thou not known me, Philip? He that has seen me has seen the Father, and how sayest thou then, show us the Father? So, okay. In the next verse it says, He and his Father are one. So that the one there is unified in behavior.
See, this is why I gotta do what I gotta do. Saying that now, y'all see this process, right? This is why I gotta do what I gotta do. So let's start from the top, brother. 7, chapter 14 and 7, it says, If ye had known me, ye should have known my Father also. Hold on one minute. Jesus said unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. If ye have known me, ye should have known my Father also, and from henceforth ye know him, and have seen him. What does Jesus mean when he said, if ye know me, ye should know the Father? What does he mean when he say that?
It means that he does his Father's will, so the will is what he wants them to focus on. Whenever you see him, you see the Father's will, and that's the most important thing that they need to know.
Okay. And from henceforth ye know him and have seen him. What does that mean?
The exact same thing. That whole passage is the same explanation.
So when it says,
Because
and from
it explains
henceforth
it
ye know him
throughout the chapter.
and have seen him, what does that the part when he says, and from henceforth ye have known him and have seen him? You're saying that is kind of in the context of what was initially your point in the first part.
Right, it's his will. So he's
Okay.
performing his Father's will.
Okay. So now Philip saith unto him, I'm assuming Jesus, right?
Yeah.
It says, Lord, show us the Father, and it sufficeth us. So what is Philip asking?
He's asking to see the literal image of of Jesus' Father.
Okay. So Jesus saith unto him, have I been so long time with you, and yet hast thou not known me, Philip? What does Jesus mean when he make that statement?
He says, I mean, you heard me preach that I'm the Son of God, and I'm in the Father, and the Father's in me. When you see me, you see the Father, because I do my Father's will, and that's what you need to do.
So you're saying that when when he literally asked him, as what you said, he literally asked him that Philip literally asked him, show us the Father, and it sufficeth us. It says, and he responds and says, Jesus saith unto him, have I been so long with you, and yet hast thou not known me, Philip? You're saying that means what?
That means what I just said. What did I just say?
Go ahead, repeat it.
Okay. Jesus said unto him, have I been so long with you, and yet hast thou not known me, Philip? Okay, so he's saying, Philip, when you see me, you see the Father's will. I am performing the Father's will.
So you still think that this is kind of like suggesting something more metaphorical as opposed to literal?
Right.
After you said in verse 7 he was speaking metaphorical, and then then Philip said, well, show us the Father literally, as what you said. So his answer was another metaphorical answer.
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah,
saying,
because
have I been so long with you, and ye have not seen me, Philip? He that hath seen me hath seen the Father. And how sayest thou then, show us the Father? So you're saying that what do you believe Jesus is saying right there? Some more metaphorical stuff?
Yeah, exactly, because he thoroughly explains it throughout the chapter. He just chose to pick those verses to confuse people.
Why he want
Because
to confuse
in
somebody?
14:11, because he believes that uh, that Jesus is his own Father.
You saying that? Why would Jesus want to confuse Philip?
No, Jesus Jesus don't want to confuse Philip. He explained it to Philip. He
All right,
said,
so
believe
so you're
me.
saying that he's
And
speaking
in
meta.
14:11, just two verses later, he says, believe me that I am in the Father.
Okay, so you're saying that it's in a certain context.
Exactly. It's just they are viewing his Father's will, and Jesus is making that very clear that when you look at me, you're looking at the behavior of the Father. This is what the Father wants done. This is his reputation. The name in Hebrew is a reputation.
Okay, so there you talking about verse 10.
Mm.
That's what you making reference to?
10 and 11. But I mean, mainly the whole chapter really explains it very thoroughly.
It says,
But
believest thou that I am in the Father, and the Father in me? The words that I speak unto you, I speak not of myself, but the Father. Okay, okay. Um, let's go to Acts chapter 22, verse 12.
I'm there.
Okay, let's go to Acts 22. Acts 22, 12. Acts 22, 12 to 14 says, and one Ananias, a devout man according to the law, having a good report of all the Jews which dwelt there, came to me and stood and said unto me, Brother Saul, receive thy sight. And the same hour I looked up upon him. And he said, The God of our fathers have chosen thee, that thou shouldest know his will, and see that just one, and shouldest hear the voice of his mouth. Who is the God of their fathers? Who is the God of our fathers?
The God of their fathers is the Ancient of Days, and that's where it makes another clarification that thou should know his will. That's what needs to be emulated in earth as it is in heaven. So only the sons of God have seen uh, the Ancient of Days.
Okay. Okay, let's go to Second Chronicles. Let's go to Second Chronicles chapter 5 verse 10. All right. It says, For we must appear before the judgment seat of Christ, that everyone may receive the things done in his body, according to that he hath done. According to that he hath done, whether it be good or bad. All right, so
You reading Second Chronicles?
yeah, that's Second Chronicles chapter 5 verse 10.
Mine says there was nothing in the ark.
Chapter 5
Second
verse
Chronicles.
10.
Yeah.
It's Corinthians, brother.
Second Corinthians.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said Chronicles. I'm sorry, Corinthians. Yeah, I'm on. Yeah, that's what it was. Corinthians. My bad.
Okay.
It says, "For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, that everyone may receive the things done in his body, according to that he have done, whether it be good or bad." And Ecclesiastics 12 and 14. I think he was making a connection with that verse right there. It says, "For God shall bring every work into judgment, and every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil." So, brother, who is it talking about in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 10?
Okay, hold on. Let me get back there.
It says, "For we all must appear before the judgment seat of Christ,
Right.
that everyone may receive the things done in his body according to that he have done, whether it be good or bad." Who's that talking about?
That's talking about Jesus.
Okay, so who is it talking about here in um, Ecclesiastics chapter 12, verse 14? It says, "For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or bad." Who's it talking about right there?
That's talking about Jesus.
So you're saying it's talking about Jesus as well, both of them. Brother Young Israel.
Yes, sir. Shalom, shalom.
Who is it making reference to here in Ecclesiastes 12 and 14?
The Most High. The Most High God.
The Most High God.
Yeah.
And who is it making reference to in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 10?
Mashiach, which proves that he's the Most High God. Remember, the New Testament can't contradict the Old Testament.
Right. So you're saying claim your inheritance, that they both is talking about Christ.
Right.
It says, "For God shall bring every work into judgment." So you're saying that Christ is God?
Yes.
So if he's God, then is he God the Father?
No, he's not his father. He said that we will call him Father in Isaiah whenever he attains the throne and sits on David's throne after his father makes the earth his footstool by destroying the Babylonian system.
Okay, so you're saying that he was the God that gave Moses the commandments. That was Yeshua?
Yeah.
He was the God that created the heavens and earth.
Yes.
He is the God that's going to give judgment in the end.
That's correct.
Okay, so let's go to Revelations chapter 21, verse 5. Revelation chapter 21, verse 5 says, I think it's 21, verse 6 really. Revelation chapter 21, verse 5 says, "And he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said
What you reading
unto,
again?
huh?
Where are you reading? Revelations 1?
Revelation chapter 21, verse 5.
Okay. Okay.
And he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, Write, for these words are true and faithful. Who is he that sitteth upon the throne, brother?
That's Christ.
You said that it's Christ that sitteth upon the throne.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to John chapter 4. John chapter 4, verse 14. It says, verses 14. It's 4 and 14. It says, Jesus answered and saith unto him, Whether drink of the water shall thirst again, but whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst, but the water that I shall give him shall be in him, and well of water spring up into everlasting life. Brother, what would you said John 4 and 14.
Okay, I referenced that to Revelation chapter 21, verse 5 and 6. So you got to read verse 6 as well.
Okay. Revelation chapter 21, verse 5 and 6. Okay. Oh, so it's the Alpha and the Omega, right? It says, And he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, Write, for these words are true and faithful. And he said unto me, It is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely. So you're saying that who is saying this? Is this
This is the
no,
Most High.
hold on. Not you. Claim your inheritance.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Jesus.
You're saying that's Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So John 4 and 14 is Jesus as well. It says, But whosoever drinketh of the water shall I give him, I shall give him, shall never thirst, but the water that I shall give him shall be in the well of the water springing up into everlasting life. So you believe that is Christ as well, right?
Yeah.
Brother Young Israel,
Yeah.
you believe this to be who? In
The
Revelation
Most
chapter
High.
21, verse 5.
The Most High.
The Most High.
The Most High.
Claim, who is the Alpha and Omega?
That's Jesus. He has a beginning. He's the beginning and the end. The Ancient of Days has no beginning, no end, no father, no mother.
So you believe that this is making reference to Christ in Revelation chapter 26?
Yes.
I mean, chapter 21, verse 6?
Yes.
And let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 24 to 26.
Deuteronomy 25.
Deuteronomy chapter 5.
Okay.
Deuteronomy chapter 5, verses 24 to 26. It says, And ye said, Behold, the Lord our God hath shewed us his glory and his greatness, and we have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. We have seen this day that God doth talk with man, and he liveth. Now therefore why should we die? For this great fire will consume us, if we hear the voice of the Lord our God any more. Then we shall die. For who is he there of all flesh that hath heard the voice of the living God speaking out of the midst of the fire, as we have and lived? So who is this making reference to, brother?
That's Jesus.
So you're saying that all this is making reference to Jesus Christ?
Yes.
So when it says, Now therefore why should we die? For this great fire will consume us, if we hear the voice of the Lord. So did we not hear the voice of the Lord when Jesus was preaching to the Pharisees and the scribes and the disciples?
Yeah, his voice, yeah. He is God.
So,
But you know,
how
he
come the
was a
people
human, of course.
didn't die? That's what it said here.
Quite yet. Yeah. Because at the mountain they were super afraid, so they would have died of heart attacks. They were very afraid of him at that time.
So you saying that it was like
So
just
they
out of
sent
fear?
Moses up there. Who say it again?
So what do you mean? Like,
They would have died out of fear. Exactly right. And so when he came as a human, they were very comfortable with hearing him. They even bucked up against him.
it says, Now therefore why should we die? For this great fire will consume us, if we hear the voice of the Lord God any more, then we shall die. It says, If we hear the voice of the Lord our God any more, then we shall die. For who is there of all flesh that hath heard the voice of the living God, speaking out of the midst of the fire, as we have and lived? So you just saying that this is fear, or is it talking about the power of the voice?
Nah, it's fear. It's fear.
I mean,
they could have gone up the mountain with Moses, but they were just terrified.
but it says it right here in chapter 24. It says, And we have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. We have seen this day that God doth talk with man, and he liveth. And then it says, Now therefore why should we die? For this great fire will consume us, if we hear the voice of the Lord.
Yeah. So Moses spoke with them at the burning bush, and he lived. So since they knew that, when they saw the fire on top of the mountain and heard the great loud voice coming from off top of the mountain.
So is it the power of his voice, or is it?
Nah.
Which?
Because he spoke to them. They would just.
I mean, that's why I said. That's why I said though. It said that in 26. It says, "For who is it? For who is? Oh, wait. Now, therefore, why should we die? For this great fire will consume us if we hear the voice of the Lord our God anymore, then we shall die. So it's saying like if we're going to continue to hear this voice, yeah, we heard the voice, but if we continue to hear this voice, we eventually are going to die.
Yeah.
Is that what you're getting out of that?
Yeah, out of sheer terror.
So you're saying out of fear. So why didn't they fear the voice of the Lord when Jesus was speaking?
Because it was made like unto men to be, so they could hear what he's saying and be comfortable with it, instead of extremely loud rumbling from the top of a mountain that they never seen anything like that before, and sheer awe and terror.
So you're saying that okay, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 3, verse 30 through 36. This will be the final one. Deuteronomy chapter 3, verse 30 through 36. It said chapter 3. Brother, what was the chapter? It says Deuteronomy chapter.
Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 33 through 36.
Okay. Chapter 4, verses 33. Okay. Did every people hear the voice of God speaking out of the midst of the fire, as thou hast heard, and live? Or hath God essayed to go and take him a nation from the midst of another nation by temptations, by signs, and by wonders, and by war, and by a mighty hand, and by a stretched out arm, and by great terrors, according to all that the Lord your God did for you in Egypt before your eyes? Unto thee it was shewed that thou mightest know that the Lord, he is God, there is none else beside him. Out of heaven he made thee to hear his voice, that he might instruct thee. And upon earth he shewed thee his great fire, and thou heardest his words out of the midst of the fire. And because he loved thy fathers, therefore he chose their seed after them, and brought them in the sight with his mighty power and out of Egypt. Alright, so unto the who is this making reference to, brother?
That's Jesus.
You saying it's talking about Jesus?
Yeah, the same one on the mountain, the same one in the bush.
Right. And it says, unto thee it was shewed that thou mightest know that the Lord God, he is God, there is none else beside him. So, is there God the Father as well?
You said, okay, rephrase that.
Do you believe that Jesus is God the Father?
Yeah, he's our father, but he's not his father.
Is Jesus God the Father?
Yes.
So you're saying that Jesus is God the Father?
Yes.
All right, thanks a lot, brother. We're gonna move forward. What's going on, brother? Young Israel.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? How you doing?
What's good with you, man?
Nothing much, man. Just chilling, you know.
Let's go to let's go to Hebrews chapter 1, verse 113.
said Hebrews chapter 1 verse 13.
Yeah, Hebrews chapter 1, verse 113.
Okay. Um, I'm here.
Can you read it for me, brother?
Okay, it says, but into which of his angels said he at any time, sit on my right hand until I make thine enemies thy footstool?
Um, divine Hebrews, James, Hebrews, Hebrews. Yeah. Okay. But to which of the angels said he at that time, sit on my right hand until I make thy enemies thy footstool? Let's go to Hebrews chapter 7, verses 1 to 3. It says, for this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings and blessed him, to whom also Abraham gave a tenth part of all, first being by interpretation king of righteousness, and after that also king of Salem, which is king of peace. Without father, without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made like unto the Son of God, abideth a priest continually. Um, Obviously, this is referring to Melchizedek.
Right.
So, what do you got to say about that? Beginning of days nor end of life.
Um, I'm not really understanding the question, because when you read the same verse, it says, but made like unto the Son of God, abideth the priest continually.
Well, the question is, what do you think about him, having the beginning of days nor end of life? It says that having neither beginning of days nor end of life. What does that mean to you?
That he's according to his spirit, he's eternal, as far as I'm concerned.
He's eternal. So um, is he Jesus?
Yeah, when he came in the flesh.
So he's saying Melchizedek was Christ.
I'm saying that it's comparing Melchizedek like unto the Son of God, and we know in reference right here, this Son of God right here is God in the flesh.
All right. So Melchizedek is who? Melchizedek is a different entity than Christ.
Melchizedek is right here. Okay, so he's denoted right here as the King of Solomon, the priest of the Most High. They're making reference, and they're comparing it to the Son of God, which we know in the New Testament, which is the Almighty Himself in the flesh, without mother, without father. That's why it's comparing it to the Son of God, because this is the eternal God who came in the flesh. That's why they're comparing Melchizedek to the Son of God.
Okay. So who is Melchizedek?
It tells you in verse 1, it was the King of Solomon, the priest of the Most High God.
So he is not the Most High God.
I don't believe so. I mean,
And he's not Christ.
no, I don't believe that.
Okay. Cool. 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 Let's go to let's go to let's go to John chapter 14 verse 28.
Beautiful. All right, John chapter 14, verse 28. I'm here.
All right, can you read it for me, brother?
Okay. It says, Ye have heard how I said unto you, I go away and come again unto you. If ye had loved me, ye would rejoice, because I said, I go unto the Father, for my Father is greater than I.
What does that mean to you?
Simply, it means that his spirit omnipotently was greater than his flesh, even as our spirits are greater than our flesh.
So you're saying that you're saying that Jesus is saying that when he says that his Father is greater than I, that he's talking about himself,
Definitely.
and you're saying that
Yes.
you're saying that for my Father is greater than I. That is making
Hmm.
reference to his spirit.
Right. His spirit is greater than his flesh. At the time, he was in the flesh.
Right. But the Comforter, which is the Holy Ghost, whom the Father will send in my name, he will teach you all things. So in verse 26,
Hmm.
when it says, but the Comforter, which is the Holy Ghost, whom the Father will send in my name, is that his spirit sending them?
Yeah, that's definitely himself. There's a precept for that. That's himself. He's speaking. He speaks in the third person of himself plenty of times.
And
He even
who is the Comforter?
himself. You can go back up to verse 18 and read that. He's still talking about himself in different ways.
All right, so you're saying that the Comforter is it Jesus or is it his spirit?
It's himself. His spirit is the comforter. That's just another title for the manifestation. It's still him. It's all him.
So Comforter is the spirit.
Yes. Comforter and Father. Those are two titles to the Spirit.
Right.
Not two persons, but manifestation.
So it says, but the Comforter, which is the Holy Ghost, whom the Father will send in my name.
Hmm.
So this is Jesus talking, right?
Definitely.
So when it says in my name, who is it making reference to? The Father or the Son?
So again, when the Most High came in the flesh, he took upon himself the name of salvation. The only way I can answer that is if we understand that the tetragrammaton itself, Yod He Wah He, means hand behold, nail behold. And Yasha, which is Yeshua, means salvation. So when we say Yeshua, we are basically saying the Father is salvation.
So he's pretty much saying, I have many things that I have spoken unto you, but ye present no. These things have I spoken unto you, being yet presented with you. But the Comforter, who is himself, but
Yeah.
me, which is me,
Mm-hmm.
whom I will send in my name, he will teach you all things.
Definitely.
That's what you're saying. That's saying.
Definitely. That's exactly what I'm saying. And I can correlate that with the book. That's exactly what I'm
So
saying.
why he didn't just say I'm gonna come back and say? I mean, why would it
He
be like this
he
complicated?
he said the same thing in John 16:7. He just said right here that the Father will send the comforter in his name. But yet in John 16, he says, I
Brother,
will send the comforter.
what I'm asking you is, why would he make it that complicated?
Just as well, because that's how he spoke. He spoke poetically in proverbs and in parables. He told us that.
Well, you think is it time to speak poetically when it's coming to my salvation and my soul being in fire
So it's the
forever?
same way. It's the same way when he was talking to people, telling them that your Lord is going to come, but he was talking about himself.
Yeah, but I'm
It's
just
like when
saying, like, like it's just like it's almost like if we were to buy into what you're saying, it's almost like you're intentionally trying to confuse me.
No, not at all. You would
No,
just have to
it
go into
is.
context.
You're saying like, oh, say, but the comforter. Okay, who's the
That's a
comforter? That's
manifest.
me. This is what you're
That's
saying.
a manifestation.
That's what
It's
you
a
what.
manifestation of
But
himself.
this is what you're
A
trying to say.
manifestation.
This is what you're trying to say though. But the comforter, who's the comforter? Me, which is the Holy Ghost. Who's the Holy Ghost? That's me. Then it says,
Mm-hmm.
whom the Father? Who's the Father? That's me. Will send in my name. He will like, come on, like you're really trying to sell this to me right now.
Definitely. All you have to do is go back up to verse 18 where he himself says, I will not leave you comfortless. I will come to you. So he literally said that he was the comforter. And then in John 16, where he says he will send the Holy Ghost himself. So then you have to reconcile that with him saying the Father sent the Holy Ghost. You don't have two
Well,
separate entities sending the Holy Ghost, do you?
now you're saying in verse 18 it says, I will
Read
not
verse
leave
17
you.
and read verse 17 and 18 real quick.
It says, even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, but it seeth him not near, neither knoweth him, but ye know him, for he dwelleth with you and shall be in you. I will not leave you comfortless. I will come to you.
So first of all, he's telling them that the comforter is with you right now. But when I go away, he's speaking in third person. He shall be in you and let you know in verse 18, I won't leave you comfortless. I will come to you.
All right, so you're trying to suggest that is talking about, is making reference also to when it says, these things have I spoken unto you, being ye present with you. But the Comforter, which is the Holy Ghost, whom the Father will send in my name.
Right.
You're trying to say that he shall teach you all things and will bring all things to your remembrance, whatsoever I say I have said unto you. That's very confusing, brother.
Not at all when you understand manifestation. When he's
Yeah, well,
speaking, like I said,
yeah, I may not understand manifestation, but I do understand the English language.
right, but then you would still have to
You
reconcile
know what I'm
that.
saying? Like, you're not going to say, like, but that and that and that, which is whom the Father will send in my name. And you're saying that all that is talking about.
So let me ask you something. So what's the difference between him saying that and him asking the scribes and Pharisees who is Christ, as if he's speaking of someone else, but yet he's speaking about himself?
Well,
That's
maybe he
just
is
if you
speaking
want
of
to be
someone.
technical.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're trying to. That's one of his arguments. Maybe he is speaking about somebody else. That would make a lot of more sense. But verse. Let's go to John chapter 10, verse 29.
Okay, beautiful.
John chapter 10, verse 29. And I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish, neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand. My Father, which gave them me, is greater than all, and no man is able to pluck them out of my Father's hand. I
Right.
and my Father are one.
Right.
What are you getting out of verse 29, brother?
Again, before God came in the flesh, he was a spirit again. And so when he says, my Father, which gave them me, is greater than all, the witness of Elohim, which is spirit, is always going to be greater than man. So even his own flesh was lesser than his own spirit, as your own flesh is lesser than your own spirit. And that's why in verse 30, he says, I and my Father are one. But I thought the Father, according to verse 29, was greater. But yet he turns around and say, one.
Yeah, but it says, "My Father, which gave them me, is greater than all."
Right? He's speaking of himself in the spirit, brother.
All right, let's go to let's go to Matthew chapter 17, verse 5. Matthew chapter 17, verse 5.
All right.
Matthew chapter 17, verse 5 says, chapter 17, verse 5. It says, "While he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and behold, a voice out of the cloud, which said, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him.
Mm-hmm.
And when the disciples heard it, they fell on their face and were sore afraid. And Jesus came and touched them and said, Arise and be not afraid." So in chapter 5, when it says, "This is my beloved Son, whom I am well pleased," who is that speaking?
It's the Most High Spirit speaking concerning his flesh.
So it's saying that a voice came out of the cloud.
Yeah, and it also says that Christ transfigured into the cloud, and his face did shine as the sun.
Okay, so
So after he transfigured, the voice came
so
from heaven.
who is he talking to? When he says, "This is my beloved Son," who is that? Who is he
He's
talking to?
talking to he's talking to Peter, James, and John.
And who
He's
is he
telling
making
Peter,
reference
James,
to
and
when he
John.
says, "This is my beloved Son"?
He's speaking of his flesh. We can read that in Colossians 2 and Colossians 1.
He says, so
He
he's
says,
talking,
listen to the statement. Verse 5. Listen to the statement. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased.
right.
So
So
when we
he's
look
saying
at the
that it's talking
context,
about his flesh. All
yes, it
right.
was,
So
because he was pleased to be in the flesh.
and then it says, and when the disciples heard it, they were on their face, and Jesus came and touched them and said, "Arise and be not afraid." So you're saying that that was Jesus that was
Yeah, that was him from his majestic glory. Remember, the
all right,
Most
so
High is
that was
omnipotent.
Jesus. Who was he talking about?
What do you mean? I'm not understanding the question.
Who is Jesus talking to when it says, "This is my beloved Son"?
He's speaking of himself in the flesh. All these signs that was
So
happening was for John
what's
and
the
them to
difference
see.
between Jesus and God?
Nothing, because the Most High himself took upon himself the nature of humanity.
So Jesus said
We read
that.
that.
So Jesus is talking to himself again.
Again, yeah, definitely. Remember, if God commanded us to everything, he was showing us this stuff on earth.
So where was
Most of the
Jesus
stuff he was
at? Where was
doing,
Jesus at when the cloud opened and said, "This is my beloved Son"? Where was Jesus at that time?
we just read. It says, and he was transfigured before them. So, what does transfiguration mean? That means a change in form.
So you're
So, how was
saying
he transfigured?
Jesus transformed into what?
He transformed into the omnipotence in the cloud. Again, we just read in verse 3 in the
So
same
where was
chapter,
his flesh at when that happened?
still on earth. Again, he's omnipotent. He can do
Well,
that.
so what was his flesh doing? It was just sitting there.
I mean, if that's what it's doing, I
So
mean,
so then after they said, and Jesus came and touched them. So when Jesus came and touched them, is that just the flesh doing that, or is it that's God too?
okay, but that was after the voice already had spoke. So that's now
So
him coming back.
so he jumped back in the body. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's omnipotent. So yes, he did.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, bro. Y'all guys, man. All right, brother. Thanks a lot, brother. I appreciate that. We're gonna move forward to. It's time to judge. Um, it's time to judge, family. You know, I don't know, man. Vote now for uphold your speech. This is the Solar Vision Debate League, and I tell you guys, you know, the peer vote is now in effect. The number is 215-954-9091. Who do you vote for? Is it Young Israel or is it Claim Your Inheritance? Who had the better argument? Peace, peace, brother Yashar. Brother Yashar. Who you vote for, brother?
Shalom, shalom, family. Good debate. Both brothers, I'm voting for Claim.
Okay. Claim Your Inheritance. Gets one vote from brother Yashar. Yara. What's going on?
Yo, shalom, man. I gotta do this.
Who you vote for?
I vote for Claim. Claim Your Inheritance.
All right, thanks for that, brother. Gideon, you're not allowed to vote because that's your boy.
Oh man, that's cold, man. Oh man, but young Israel got that, man.
All right, your vote don't count though. All right, thanks a lot, brother. One vote for Claim Your Inheritance. We got, one vote for Young Israel. So we got 2 votes to 1. 2 votes to 1 so far. Who do you vote for? Is it Young Israel or is it Claim Your Inheritance? Peace family, out the blue. Who you vote for?
Yo, man, we dropping a new song, Too Many Twos, man. I'm going with Young Israel.
The young one is all tied up, family.
Too many twos.
Peace. Who's calling?
Hey, this is Warrior Hebrew Perry. I vote for the brother Claims.
All right. Thanks a lot, brother. Shout out to Warrior Hebrew Perry. Peace. Brother Yahukanan, who you vote for?
Yo, what's up, man? I just want to say a shout out to Young Israel. He did a good job for his first debate. I got to go off in the interrogation, and I'm going to go ahead and give my vote to Dan Claim.
All right. Peace. Who's calling? Brother Critic, who you vote for?
Oh, my brother. He had him saying that Jesus is the Father. So, Young Israel, my brother, he made him admit that he was the Father. All right, case closed.
All right. Thanks for your vote, bro.
Young Israel.
Yo, you crazy. All right, bro. He about to start preaching on y'all niggas. I'm telling y'all, man, this Christian coalition is forming, man. Y'all better watch them Christians. You better persecute them while you got a chance. Swabizi, what's going on? Who you vote for?
One for Claim, brother. Claim.
All right. So we got 4 votes for Claim, 3 votes for Young Israel. Israel. Isis, Ra, Elohim. Remember they used to say that shit? Who's calling? What's your name? Are you the Maxwell that's in the debate league? Okay, okay. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I gotta save your number, brother. I was trying to set up the interview with you, brother. You don't answer your phone.
Yeah, I was a little tied up.
All right,
But I'm definitely get at you tomorrow for that.
who you vote for, brother?
All right, I want to vote for Young Israel. He definitely made claims, say that Yeshua is Yah. So I vote for Young Israel.
All right, brother. Is this the number I could contact you by?
No.
The other
Off another phone.
the other
I'm
number?
gonna text you first thing in the morning.
All right, cool. All right.
All right.
Yeah, he is a member of the debate league. This guy, Maxwell. We just ain't set up the got to set him up an interview. So it's all tied up for a piece. Young Israel, claim your inheritance. Tied up, man. Ah, man. Baptize y'all with fire. God damn it. You're going to make you bow down to the will of Christ. You know what I'm saying? I could have been a preacher. I got the preacher spirit in me. I could go there. Peace. Anonymous Hebrew.
Yo, peace, bro. So the title of the debate is Jesus or is Messiah his own father? Brother Young Israel never proved that. Like, nah. We voting for claim on this one. Peace.
Okay. So that's 5 votes for claim, 4 votes for the young one. We'll get this thing another minute or so before we move forward to the people's vote. So, what we got going on tomorrow, family? What we got going on here tomorrow? Oh, we got Bishop Eliyahu. He's going to be back in the building going up against Yamrayahu. It's the Most High God, the only one that can be worshipped in the Tanakh. That should be something that you would want to watch. So make sure you're in the building, family. Yeah, and then we're going to have Brother Goldmine. He's going to be up in the building going up against Mikael. African spirituality or the Bible, which is better for our society. We will be rocking out 9 p.m. Eastern Time for both debates, man. So make sure you be in the building for that as well. Hooly hoo. Nigga what? It's about to go down here. We got 5 votes for Claim Your Inheritance, 4 votes for Young Israel. Let me see if there's any text votes before we move forward. Peace. Do the knowledge. What's good with your family? Who you vote for?
I ain't getting invited to this party tonight, you know what I'm saying? So do I call on this time or I gotta wait for the people's vote?
No, you're a member. The judges
Okay.
call on the members, yeah.
Let me cast my vote for Claim Your Inheritance.
All right, thanks a lot, bro.
All right, peace.
I forgot to call you, brother. I was actually looking for a third debater. I'm calling everybody else, but I forgot. I don't know how I forgot about you, bro. Yeah, that's crazy because we could have had 3 debaters, and I was actually trying to find a third debater too. I don't know how I forgot about you though, bro. Yeah, so with that being said, I think we're gonna make a move now to the judges' votes. I'm trying to sound like Bill Cosby. So I think we're gonna move now to the people's vote. People. The number is 215-954-9091. Call in now or forever hold your speech. This is the Solar Vision Debate League. You know, people from all across the wizard, please call in now or forever hold your speech. Brother Ja Rule, who you vote for?
Peace, go ahead.
Alright. I'm telling you, I'm about to make Ja Rule points worth 2 points. You know what I mean? Say no. Oh, man. Call in now forever hold your speech. Brother Ja Rule. Brother Warrior Hebrew Perry votes for claim. So far we got 2, 4, 6 peers votes to 4 votes. Peace. State your name, who you vote for.
This is Sheikah, and I'm voting for Young Israel.
Okay, thanks a lot. Alright, so we got 2 votes for Claim Your Inheritance, 1 for Young Israel with the people's vote, and we got 6 votes for Claim Your Inheritance and 4 for Young Israel. So Claim has won the peer vote. And he is up on the people's vote, 2 votes to 1. Family, did y'all see me massacre the hounds yesterday? Did y'all see me decapitate the hounds? Who was in the building yesterday?
I saw that. You lucky I wasn't there. I was getting this presentation together.
You see how I easily sliced the hounds' heads off? Peace. State your name, who you vote for. Ouch.
Keep going, man. I'm going for Young Israel.
Alright. So we got we tied up at 2. Young Israel. Claim your inheritance with the people's vote. You know what I mean? I think I'm gonna have to set up another PowerPoint, you know what I'm saying? Just to show y'all how I gets down, how I gets busy. How you Maxwell, what's up? Alright, who you vote for?
Young Israel.
Alright. Yeah, that was under Maxwell's number, but it was this, I guess, his sister. Got his wife calling in supporting you, brother. But yeah, man, I'm gonna have to set up a PowerPoint. My next PowerPoint that I'm gonna set up and smack the hounds up on. I gotta beat up on the hounds every now and then. Since I did one showing, Peace, family. State your name. Who you vote for?
Hey, this is Josh. I'm going for Young Israel.
All right. Thanks a lot. Since I did one, my first one, since that was one that they could not get around the arguments, you know. Since I got a flawless victory with that, I'm going to do the exact opposite my next go round. I'm going to show how Jesus is God. That'll be my next PowerPoint presentation, showing how Jesus is God. I'm going to set up a PowerPoint. Now, mind you, I showed the exact opposite the first time. I'm going to show now how Jesus is God this time. And I'm going to still smack y'all up. This is how easy it is. Because guess what? I don't believe in any of it. I bet you I can do it. I bet you I can do that out the blue. I'm going to do a PowerPoint showing how Jesus, the exact opposite of what I beat y'all up on yesterday. I'm going to show the exact opposite and beat y'all up on that. Yeah, I'm going to wait till after the playoffs. This is going to be after the playoffs. I just gave y'all a little special since it was New Year's Eve and ain't none of y'all have no girl to go out with and shit. You know what I'm saying? So y'all was stuck in the house. You know, I had to make y'all, you know, happy that day. You know what I'm saying? Y'all on y'all tight Israel, like, you know what I mean? Y'all on y'all Israelite stuff and, you know, your girlfriend that ran out to the club because she's not Israel. She's going to celebrate New Year's Eve. You know what I mean? But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put together a PowerPoint proving from the Bible that Jesus is. You know what I mean? I am not high. Y'all keep on trying to say I'm high. I'm not high, brother. I'm high off the Spirit of Christ. I'm high off the Spirit of Christ, God damn it. That's what I'm high off of. I'm high off the Spirit of Christ. And I'm going to prove that. So, yesterday, I proved that Jesus was not. And I'm going to prove that he is in my next PowerPoint. And there's nothing you can do about it. And there's going to be nothing you could do about it. Yaharab Ben Nazareth, there's going to be nothing you could do about it. None of you guys. You could come in here and you could try to attack my information. You're going to get beat up, just like I beat y'all up yesterday. And it was easy. It didn't really take much to beat you guys up. I told y'all that the PowerPoint that I put together, took me about 35 minutes to do. And y'all couldn't get around that. I didn't even open up none of my books. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really open up that give y'all some in-depth research. You know? This is me just helping y'all to step y'all game up. Because like I said, I don't really believe in none of that. I'm initiated. I'm initiated through Christ. I'm beyond, you know. You know. So next one, I would, you know. Brother Guy Rod, you think you killed me with that verse. Everybody else know that they didn't know what you was talking about. You tried to do some apple, oranges, tutti frutti, tropical punch, Kool-Aid stuff on me. Like, brother, that's not natural. What are you doing? That was not working. You know? That was not working, brother. I told you I'm high off Christ right now, brother. I'm not high off nothing else but Christ. You know? I ran all the hounds off out the blue. You seen it. I ran all the hounds off. I had them. Ran them all out. You know? And it was easy. It wasn't even hard. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know? It didn't take long. It was easy. I just, you know what I'm saying? That wasn't even my sharp sword. My Excalibur is still on the shelf right there. You know what I'm saying? I had a crusty sword knocking y'all out. Get down. You know? So, since we don't have any people's calling in, we're gonna allow brother. We're gonna allow brother. We're gonna go to the judges round and allow School of Understanding to give his vote and why. I know School of Understanding like, yo, is this? Don't hurry up, man. Are you there, School of Understanding? School of Understanding. If you're there, unmute your mic, brother. Or did he? Let me see. Okay. We got KOT. Even though Claim already won that, KOT voted for Claim, and Brandon Bay voted for Claim. But he already won the peers vote anyway, so they really don't really change it. Hey, School of Understanding, are you there, brother? School. All right, so either he went to sleep or something happened. Either way, he cannot vote now because if he sleep now, who knows when he went to sleep? He sleep in the middle of the debate? We don't know. So he can't vote right now. So now we go to from 2 voting system to the 1 voting system. So claim your inheritance. Hold on, wait. Oh, no. It's tied up. Yeah. Claim your inheritance has won the peers vote, and Young Israel won the people's vote. And I gotta give my vote to Young Israel, bro. And y'all already know why, because he admitted that Jesus was the Father. That's the topic of the debate, bro. You might want to. He admitted that. He said that Jesus is the Father.
Not his own father. He has a father, and he is our father.
I said, who was the Father? You said.
Knew you misunderstood it.
No, you know what I'm talking about. When I asked you, I said, who's the Father? You said Jesus. I said, is Jesus the Father?
Let me elaborate.
I asked you twice. Is Jesus the Father?
And I answered the same way to both times.
So
I said,
you saying if Jesus
he's
is
not
the Father,
his own Father, he is our Father. That's what Isaiah says, that we will call him our Father whenever he comes on the throne.
Is the Father.
You take that one card instead of the whole presentation of the debate.
I could break down the other reasons why, but that is what's checkmate. But we're not going to get into the whole debate now.
So you understand it now, but you didn't understand it then.
What I'm saying to you, when I asked you who the Father was, I'm not talking about the Father, whatever you're trying to break down and saying that is not the Father. I'm talking about the Most High God, Father, and I'm talking about Jesus the Son. That's all I'm talking about. So all the other stuff you talking about, I don't know what you're talking about.
Not his own Father.
You know what I'm saying? So is he
why in the world would I say
the Most High Father? That's all I never talked about, this other Father, because I don't even know what you're talking about. The Father
his argument is that
the Father that I know and the Father that you was making reference to throughout the verses that I was showing was talking about whether it was God the Father or whether it was Jesus. You said that all of it was Jesus.
So because we both agree, me and Young Israel both agree that Yahweh is Jesus.
Yeah, so
but he says that Yahweh is.
Brother, you're not debating me right now. You're not debating me right now. The decision is
made. But you misunderstood my answer and made your own vote.
Brother, you're not debating me right now. You said that Jesus was the Father. That's what you said, brother. And it's recorded.
Yeah, and I made it clear that he's not his own father.
All right, so
what are you talking the whole about? Debate and answered it correctly.
Brother. With that being said, shout out to both debaters. This is the Solar Vision Debate League. I be telling y'all guys, man. Make sure y'all arguments is very clear. You can't come with the half arguments and then thinking somebody's going to understand what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? I don't know the other father you talking about. Or every time the father he was saying, talking about. Look, unmute your mic, brother. Young Israel.
Yeah.
When I say the Father, who I'm talking about?
The Most High, God of heaven and earth.
That's common knowledge. That's what I thought. All except for claim your inheritance.
That's what the confusion of the debate is. The title of the debate is Jesus' own Father. So that ain't common knowledge. Some people think that Jesus is his own father, and some people know that Jesus has a father.
But there's no. I mean, we can talk about this in the argument league, but there was no dispute as to the God the Father. The Most High God is God the Father. Now, some people say that, well, that is Jesus also, and he is the Son also. But we know that when you say the Father, that's talking about the Most High God. So when I said the Father, that's what I was making reference to. And I asked you twice.
You should clarify your question.
And you said Jesus twice.
You should say the highest of the high or the super high, the most high or whatever. We call it the most high.
Shout out to both debaters. We could talk about this over in an argument league. This is your boy Soul of Mine. Signing out. Peace. We'll see you guys tomorrow. I told you it gets heated on Solar Vision Debate League.